Now this is one that you can do any time of day. You're going to take a dish towel, fold it in half again, fold it in half again. Okay, so now you got this, okay, and you got a pillow. What we're going to be working on is getting sensory proprioception input feeling into your entire spine, one little segment at a time. And you're going to feel at the end of this series a lot of freedom in your spine, but also a lot of freedom to the nerves that run through your spine. So everything should get very nice and mobile, but also a little bit calmer. Okay, so here you go. You're going to lie on your back, and we're going to put the towel right underneath the sacrum here. Okay, and at that level of the sacrum, you're going to feel your body sink into the towel, and you're going to feel like a little speed bump underneath your sacrum here, okay, which is just between those two little bumps on the back of your pelvis. Okay, once you feel your body kind of sink into this, you're just going to breathe normally. It's hard for me to breathe when I'm talking. And that's my life. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and start to move your body over this little towel, this little speed bump. Okay, so I'm not forcing it. I'm not trying to use too many muscles here. What I'm thinking about is just the bones sort of maybe tilting a little bit onto the front of the speed bump, back to the middle of the speed bump, and then maybe coming back down the back side of the speed bump. And this is going, I'm going to pull this up here so you can see. Okay. Forward, middle, and back. Okay. And what I'm checking in on here is, can I feel that happening? Do I feel a little bit more restricted one direction or the other? Do I feel like I'm fighting myself? If so, just kind of breathe through that. Try to let the things that feel like they're fighting let go a little bit. Maybe in the front, maybe in the back, maybe in the sides, maybe your feet are squeezing. Okay, just relax all those things. And then also pay attention to what's happening side to side. So do you feel equal contact with the towel on the right side? The right side versus the left. So personally, I feel less contact on my right side. It could be the left for you, okay? But my point is that if you feel less contact, I want you to try to sink a little bit more into that side and then hold that sort of sinking, more pressure feeling as you go through the movement, so that you're really trying to gain connection where you don't currently have it. Okay, so this is like, we're going to start there, then we're going to move this towel up like an inch. So you pop your butt up, bring it back down an inch higher. Now you got a new segment, you got a new part of your spine, and you're going to do the same exact thing. So we're working to feel that pressure on both sides. We're kind of rolling over the front, back in the middle, and then trying to get onto the back. Now, you can get your shoulders to lift up if you feel like you're kind of squished in certain places. Up to you. So just play around with it, okay? And you're just breathing with that slow, drawn out breath. We're not trying to hold a shallow, quick breath here. So we're just, I don't know, sometimes when you struggle with, like specific breathing focused, calming or meditation series, some people really struggle with that. And you almost need a task or something like this to distract the mind a little bit, to allow the breathing to get a little bit more normalized. So I'm not going to cue you to breathe anywhere specific here, but I am going to ask you to just feel that air come through the nose and then just softly deflate it all out. And you can play around with, if you breathe in on this part and then out with this part. If you breathe in with this part, the air is going to go through the front of your body and out. If you switch it up and you breathe in with this part, the air is going to go into the back of your body. So you decide where you feel like you need more space, more opening in this particular segment of your body, okay? You're going to move up 1 inch. Here we go. Same thing. Okay. And you might feel at different segments like you lose motion in one direction more than the other. That can be normal to a certain extent based on the, how the spine's aligned in terms of its natural curves. But just work on it. Okay. Keep coming up a little bit more. So we're not aiming for perfection here because we know that there's just the spine's going to only go so far in certain places, but just kind of sensing and feeling what you do have and where you feel like you maybe could sneak a little bit more in. And everybody's going to be different on this. Okay, so it's hard for me to kind of coach you one way or the other on this, but you just kind of play around with it. Now arms, I'm kind of here because I'm teaching, but I don't know why I'm doing that, but I might just have my arms kind of down here by my side like this, just nice and relaxed. We don't want to be pushing with our arms. Again, this is just thinking of the bones kind of pressing down and into the towel here, and then maybe easing off at these segments. Okay, so once you get into the lumbar, it's kind of more just like a press down. You're going to feel your hips tuck under, and then easing it off, you're going to feel your hips come back down to the floor. Okay, up a little bit more. And I'm speeding you through this at this point. If you want to spend more time on these, just pause this and keep on going. Okay, there's going to be some segments where you're going to want to spend a little bit more time. And if you feel when you're like, whoa, that feels like it really needs it, that pressure, just hang here. Breathe it out. Okay, when I get into this lumbar and I'm putting the pressure down, you can see my hips are actually starting to come off the floor a little bit, but I'm not lifting them up. It's because I'm pressing my back down into the ground that they're starting to come up. And you may start to feel your hamstrings kick on a little bit here, which is actually a really awesome thing because you're starting to substitute your hamstrings for your low back muscles, okay, which in the long run over time is going to be awesome, okay? And sometimes I find that as I keep coming up, so bump it up a little bit more, and I get to sort of that point where the rib cage meets the lumbar spine, that thoracic lumbar junction, and I start to really press the towel into there, and I use that press down to get my hips up. I really start to feel those hamstrings kick on, and then I might even give a little bit of a pull on the ground with my feet. I might lift my heels up off the ground and really feel the support coming from there. That's just an add-on. I don't know. For me, it's just like, oh, when I finally take my back out of something, my hamstrings kick on. Like, awesome. Sometimes I'll do little marches here where I really feel one hamstring kick on and then the other, and I'm really focused on, excuse me, both sides of my back, feeling that contact with the towel, okay? So I play around with it. You can decide to do this however you want. You may just choose to start with the connection points of pressure on the spine and then coming off, okay? Up a little bit more. When we get up closer to the upper thoracic, you might want to pull your pillow away from your shoulders a little bit, just give you a little freedom to move. So here, same thing. Again, checking in on both sides. That can change, okay? You can flip from one side to the other in terms of feeling more or less contact as you come up your spine. We will see that sometimes in people who have some scoliosis or not even like, just twists and turns that happen with life. All right, up a little bit more. So now we're starting to get more kind of that lower scapula, lower shoulder blade, kind of bra line right here. This bra line area is where your diaphragm sits, so sometimes this can feel pretty yucky on some people. I had a client the other day, we got to this point and she was just like, this is super intense, okay? So if it's intense, take note of that. You can take breaks. You don't have to push as hard. You don't have to try to create so much movement. It's a work in progress on that. If you feel like you're holding your breath, try not to hold your breath either. Okay, let it flow. Up a little bit higher. And again, spend as much time on these as you'd like. Find your sticky points and work on those sticky points. Okay, you feel ones that are like, oh, that's a breeze. Maybe go to the next one. All right. Use your time on the places that you need it most. Sometimes I'll exhale as I'm kind of moving. Inhale once I get to the pressure point. Then I'll exhale as I move the other direction. Inhale once I get to that point. And that way I'm getting that good breath on either side of that motion. I want you to make sure that you're not squeezing your tailbone area, pelvic floor area here. That's can be something that happens. So try to relax your booty. Okay, maybe give your legs a little, I'm just coming in and out like this. Give your legs a little jiggle, shake it out, and just get that tailbone, those pelvic floor muscles to let go. Go up a little bit higher. So especially when you're trying to kind of push that spine down, sometimes we give a little squeeze to the pelvic floor. We want to get out of that habit. Okay, it's just an indication of strategies that we tend to use to create movement where we don't necessarily have it so much. So I'm trying to break through that a bit. Relax your hands. See a little bit of tension building in those hands. Let it go. All right, go a little bit higher. So here, when you start to get to the upper thoracic, you can see as I press down, my chin starts to lift up. I'm going to let it do that. Don't fight that, okay? A lot of people, they think they need to be in this like chin tucked position all the time. Let it go, okay? Let that go. As that spine comes down, that chin will come up. It's just a natural like wave that the spine makes, okay? As you kind of let off the pressure on the towel, those ribs will come up. Your chin will actually kind of roll down a bit. Take a breath there. You can see your whole body kind of moving as a wave here, okay? Ribs come up. My pelvis might naturally go into a tilt. I really don't want you to force it. My chin might come down. As I put more pressure down towards that towel, my back might flatten, my pelvis might roll under, my chin might lift up, okay? Up a little bit more, we're almost there. Same deal. And up, maybe one more. You're gonna hit a point where you go kind of right in between those shoulder blades. And you're kind of picturing, once you get up to this top part, it's coming, down into that. And then as you come back up, especially if you're one of those people that kind of sits with their chest down, using that coming off the towel to just lift this like just below your collarbones up off the floor. And then those collarbones will kind of sink back down. And sometimes when I get to these upper segments, I might start to put a little arms into it to help drive, especially if you're one of these people that are sort of smushed or flat up top. You might want to reach as you're pressing that towel down. Actually reach forward here, yeah. And then come back up here like this, okay? So just a little reach towards your knees might help you drive those upper segments into that towel a little bit more. Kind of palms up, reach, and then back down, okay? And that is it. Okay, so you just work through that. Again, that is a do any time of the day. You might feel when you get your back on the floor, you're like, oh, wow, I feel a lot more connection with the floor and everything feels a lot more relaxed. You can follow that up, with anything that you might like from a spinal mobility perspective. A great one to do would be just kind of hands and knees here, and maybe trying to allow each individual segment to move independently. So I'm going to do like a cat-cow where I go ahead and let the tailbone tuck under. Then I'm trying to go for this one to tuck under, then 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 the top ones, and everything starts to roll together. And then when I come back the other direction, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to start to extend for my head. This is going to start to open up, flatten up, sort of picturing the front of my spine opening up here, segment by segment. Each individual spine is opening up till I get to the bottom ones, down into here. And then finally, the tailbone will do its little flick. Okay, and then I'm going to reverse that, rolling from the bottom. Now I'm thinking about the back part of my spine segments opening up, kind of creating an arc on each individual segment versus skipping too much to the front. Okay, and again, also not pushing too much from your arms. Okay, arms are just a platform for you to rest on. You're not pressing with them. Okay. All right, and maybe going through that 5 times. Okay, so enjoy that.